Hi, and welcome back to another MTOP video on the City of Yes. And today we're going to be talking about another amendment, which is separate from the City of Yes, but happening all together with the City of Yes. And that is casinos amendments. And so my name is Alicia Boyd, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so what happened? Casinos at one point were never allowed in our communities, right? They were considered, unsavory types of businesses that cause a lot of harm to community residents and people. But the state decided to pass a law that will allow 6 casinos inside of the state, and 3 in the top regions of the state and 3 on the bottom regions of the state. And so we have casinos coming. The gaming commission was created that would then oversee where those 3 casinos will be located. But not only will they be deciding where those 3 casinos will be located in downstate, which is basically New York right now, New York City, but they will be deciding all the other parameters about the casino. That means, how large it's going to be, what other businesses that will go along with it, like hotels, and also the amount of parking, other businesses that will come in. All of this is going to be decided by the state. So basically, the state controls exactly where it's going to go inside of New York City, as well as what will be there. So what is being proposed is a text amendment, a citywide text amendment that will basically determine, will allow whatever the state has decided to be as of right. That means, when I say as of right, that means is that the city and the community will have no input whatsoever about where or how that development is coming into the community. So the state has the power to make these parameters and put it into the community and the chosen areas, but the city still has some power in being able to possibly negotiate some things. But this text amendment will be taking that power away. It will take the power away from the city and the community boards and the city council to be able to weigh in on these casinos and their businesses and make it as of right. That's all we're doing. Right now, the text amendment basically says that they can go into any commercial corridor that's between a C4 and a C8. And those are normally the streets that have very large buildings. They are removing the uniform land use review procedure, which is a community input and the city council input. And they're tied to, currently this law ties them to the 3 casinos that have been approved by the state. However, it's also a placeholder for any future ones. So the next time that the state decides that they want to add some more casinos into our community, well, this is the placeholder where all they have to do is just switch one body of law for another body of law as far as reference, and then they would still be able to be here as of right without community input. Now, what happens if it doesn't happen? Well, they won't be able to come in here as of right. They would have to do a ULURP application. They're basically trying to tell the community, oh my God, if we don't do this text amendment, the casinos can't come in, but that's not true. The casinos still can come in, and they probably have to come in because there is a law from the state that says it has to be here. But it has to be, they would have to go through the uniform land use review procedure. Each one of the applicants would have to go through the land use procedure. It's a 7-month procedure. They would have to talk to the community. They would have to talk to the borough president. And finally, they would have to get agreement from the city council. And all during this process, things can change. Community benefits can be done. Infrastructure support can be done. And when I say infrastructure support, I'm talking about, possibly adding, train lines, and community benefits could be, you know, providing nonprofit organizations with more funding. So there's a lot of things that can happen in the EULA process that won't happen if these text amendments happen. And let's be very much aware about what is being said about these casinos. It is being noted that these casinos, these 3 casinos, will be the highest profit-making casinos in the world. That is a lot of money. And yet, our city council and our mayor are all considering that these industries come into our communities without having to give us anything. Whatever the state decides we should have, that's what we would have, which does not include community benefits. It does include infrastructure support. What it does is just say, oh, this is the casino, this is how it's gonna run, these are the businesses, this is how much parking we're gonna give them, and this is how high it's gonna be, and that's it. So where are these casinos being proposed? Well, there's 9 casinos being proposed, right? If you notice over here with my arrow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Manhattan, where so many people can get to. They're talking about making a whole lot of money. And that's gonna, you know, if it is in Manhattan, and you can see the Manhattan sites, some all the way on one side on the west side, the other one is on the east side, and then there's 2 in the middle. So you can see where they've already selected, you know, right there in the center of Manhattan. Then you have one all the way up here in the Bronx. You have 2 being considered in Queens, one here very close to water and the other one a little bit more in. And then we have the one in Coney Island in Brooklyn. So this is where the sites currently are being considered. There's 9 applications. And it's been noted that they will be making about $2 billion a year. That's a lot of money, people. That's a lot of money. Okay. But before we talk about what that money is doing to our politicians, and you can imagine what it's doing to our politicians, we're going to talk about some of the hardships that casinos bring into communities. A lot of this information we have obtained from CB, Brooklyn Community Board 13 in Coney Island, who opposed this plan and really cited some very important studies that have come out of when casinos have been allowed to go into communities. One was, you know, urban casinos are typically placed in low-income areas. The increased accessibility and availability of urban casinos can increase gambling-related problems. One study found that that adults living within just 10 miles of a casino are twice as likely to have gambling problems. Young adults aged 18 to 24 have the highest rate of problem gambling. Almost 24%, almost 25% of your young people will have a gambling problem. And problem gambling is more common among non-Hispanic Black adults. New Yorkers with annual income of $30,000 or less report the highest levels of problem gambling, almost 25%. And then there is a study that says that living close to a casino increased the likelihood of developing a gambling disorder by 90%. And casinos have estimated to cause about 8% of the crime in the communities that they reside. There's also a history of the lack of community benefits, thanks to the City Planning Commission, who constantly approves these applications and never ensures that the community benefits are enforced. And also, New York City has the highest percentage of problem gamblers in the state. So here you have some major issues happening, and you're about to bring 3 casinos into our community. There's also additional information that it destroys the quality of life of residents. You have, you know, addiction services, bankruptcy, corruption, bad credit, drug addiction, mental health crimes. All of this, all this negative stuff happening in our communities, and yet our elected officials are proposing that these institutions come without even addressing this issue, without giving money for this issue, without even saying, okay, we're going to set up a fund and we're going to help people with these problems. None of that is being discussed on the table. And of course, you know what money does? It corrupts. And there's already an abundance of corruption happening with these casinos. When you think about 9 applicants all trying to get 3 applications, money being spent. They already said that $7.2 million has been spent just on lobbying fees. And that's just a small percentage. Money is being given out to this elected official and that elected official. The attorney general is already doing an investigation about how the process of selection happened in the 3 upstate casinos. Fox News is saying that, you know, there are law firms that are tied to the Gaming Facility Location Board, where their casino choice got chosen. The MTA, head of the MTA, Jano Leiber, is supposed to be personally benefiting from the casinos in New York City. Politico also talked about how, you know, these casinos are going to be very, very, very lucrative in our community. And there's a massive amount of political money being poured. And you go read that Politico. Very informative, really telling you who the players are, how much money they're doing, the double dipping they're doing. Oh, it's just a mess. Now, speaking of corruption, we can't leave Eric Adams out of that one, right? Because he's already has investigations underneath his belt. He used to be MTOP's state senator, mine. So I kind of know him back in the day when he was being investigated when he was the state senator on casinos. Yeah, there was, you know, Aqueduct has a ratio. It's not a casino, it's called a ratio. And he was the chair of the Racing and Waging Committee. And he got money from Aqueduct, who happened to get chosen as the place to have the ratio. So, you know, there's the corruption, you know, and that keeps in line with his profile anyway, right? You know, the play to pay thing. One other issue that a lot of community boards, especially CB13, where one of the places that are being chosen to have a casino is their Thor Equities has been in there kind of doing unlawful things. You know, they sat there and took a CB13 flyer, and then they put a job fair behind it, giving the community the impression that it was actually CB13 that was doing the job fair and basically making it a fait accompli that they had been chosen. They made the claim that there was, you know, 3,300 signatures that they had gotten from the public in support, but then they didn't want to give it to anybody. And then there's word on the street, and I like word on the street, that they've been going into the nonprofits promising hundreds of thousands of dollars if they come out and support the casino. CB13 has voted against the casino, basically saying that it's going to really be a detriment to the community, not only with traffic, but the fact that they have a low to moderate income community will be suffering all of these ills that we spoke of before. And they also have voted against the tax amendment. Now, what's been going on with the text amendments, right? You know, we know that there's a lot of money being floated around. We know that there hasn't been a lot of discussion from our elected officials about whether or not this is appropriate, but we know that there's a push to disempower communities and even disempower the city council members themselves by not being able to weigh in on this. Well, it looks like our borough president is kind of also engaging in games You know, there was supposed to be, this is supposed to be a non-ULUP application, okay? And it's an application that's very similar to a ULUP process, but it's slightly different. It's called the non-ULUP application. However, when the borough president made an announcement that he was going to do a hearing, he didn't tell anybody. He didn't send it to the community board. He didn't post it on his website. And when he did post it on the city record, he labeled it as a ULUP application. So I personally have went on that site before the hearing, said, oh, I don't see the casino. All I saw was ULUP applications. And I knew that this was a non-ULUP application, so I never went to the drop-down menu to look because it's not a ULUP application. Well, during the hearing, they claimed it was a ULUP application. Nobody showed up except for 3 people who were obviously in favor of this this casino tax amendment, and that was it. So community boards didn't get it. No one got the information, and community boards are now demanding that Reynoso, the borough president, redo it. Like, come back and do it right. First, stop this. First, put it on the register, the city record, that it is a non-ULUP application. Send a notice out to the community boards. Put it on your website that the open meetings law demands that you do, and conduct a hearing for the people. But instead, all of this shady stuff happens. Nobody comes out against it. And of course, he conveniently shut down the time in which you can reply. It was 2 days after the hearing. So, you know, the hearing's on the 17th, and then the time to respond in writing was the 19th. And so nobody got an opportunity to actually weigh in. The community boards, the residents in the community. How unlawful is that? How unlawful is that? This is the games that this money is playing with us. These are the lengths that our elected officials are going to disempower us so that our voices can't be heard. So he could write down, oh, nobody showed up, nobody cares. I guess this is okay. So before we end, there's just a little bit more points, a few more points we have to make about this. Now, the text amendments, the City of Yes text amendments are a citywide text amendment change, and they don't actually have to get permission from the borough president. They have to get permission from the borough board. The borough board is a board made up of every chairperson, every community board in their borough, along with all of the city council that's in that borough. However, this casino text amendment is being done differently. The borough president is making the claim it's a ULUP application, but it's not a ULUP application. It clearly states it's a non-ULUP application. And if it had been, he would have been conducting his portion of the ULUP process unlawfully, because his portion of the ULUP process doesn't happen until after the community weighs in. The community has 2 months. This got dropped on us on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. The community has until February, I think, 5th to weigh in, and then it would have been his time. But what's happening is happening concurrently, right? It's all happening at the same time. His time to review and the community board's time is supposed to be happening concurrently, but actually his time is actually shortened to the 19th of January, because that's when he says he's no longer taking any comments from the community. And why is that? Why not the borough board? Well, that's because you only have to pay one person, the borough president. You ain't got to go in there and try to convince the other community, the other board members. You don't have to, the chairs of the other boards, the community boards, and you definitely don't have to talk to the city council people. Not that they're not doing that. Trust me, they're doing it. So there's some fishiness going on around this casino. And again, money. Money is happening because the borough president is not supposed to be doing this. The borough board is supposed to be doing this. There's nothing in the regs that allows the borough board to make a decision that the borough board should be making, because these text amendments are for the entire borough. Now, they'll tell you that, well, there's only 3 applications and there's only 1 location that's being considered, but that's nothing to do with the law. The law is connected to the license, not to the site. It is possible that the casino will not be in Coney Island. That commission upstate will say no to Coney Island. And yet these text amendments would apply to any location in New York City. So they're not connected to a site. So it should not be the borough president making this decision. It should be the borough board. Clearly, the borough president knows this. That's why he classified it as a ULURP application, and it's not. To just circumvent the community and the city council, and in this case, the chairs of the community boards, to circumvent their role in this process. And this is the shenanigans that are happening in our communities. So what could you do about it? Because it's important that you do something about this. I mean, if you allow this to happen, you could have a casino in your backyard and you will not be able to say anything about it. It always boggles my mind when I say that, because that's the truth. Well, contact, Reynoso, the borough president, or any other borough president. I'm giving you information about the borough president here in Brooklyn, but contact them. Find out when that hearing is. Find out if the borough board is going to be taking the decision, or the borough president, and ask why, because remember, the law is not connected to a site. It's connected to the license. In this case, we have given you 2 possible contacts. Carol Ann Church is Reynoso's director of the community boards. And so you have her number down there and her email. She tends to be pretty responsive. I have to give her that. Not to me personally, but I've heard she has been responsive to others. And then there's a Daniel Abrams, who's associated with the community board, borough president, and his email is down there as well. And then you could always just directly email, Reynoso, and ask why. Why did you have a hearing? Why you didn't let the community boards know? Why you didn't publicize it appropriately on the city record as a non-ULURP application? And why are you making this decision and not the borough president, the borough board making the decision? And these are really important actions. And of course, stay tuned to us, stay involved with us. If you're not on our email list, get on our email list. Go to our website, give me a call. I'll put you on our email list. And we'll keep you informed of when the next hearings are going to happen. Because what happens is, now that once the community board is finished and the borough board, I would say the borough board, is finished with this application, then it goes to the Department of City Planning. They have to hold a hearing, which they have not scheduled yet. They're very busy with the City of Yes and Green Fast Track, which we will be doing a video on. But they do have to have a hearing, and then it winds up in the city council. So the city council is your main target when it comes to these casino amendments. You have to be involved with them, know who your city council person, and put some pressure on them to say no to it, so that you can keep your rights, and the community has a right to have a voice where these very huge, impactful businesses are going to be in your neighborhood. And we're almost at the end. Who are we? We are MTOP, the Movement to Protect the People. We've been in existence for over a decade. We're located in the Brooklyn Crown Heights Flatbush neighborhood. Our main focus is rezoning, so this is definitely the topics that we discuss. We were one of the first people to stop a district-wide rezoning in the community of color. We've also been very instrumental in protecting the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens from the largest residential development project. We stopped that from happening. We are pro se litigants, so we have filed lawsuits. They bring us a lot more knowledge about these issues. And you're welcome to contact us. You know, our website is www.mtop.org, or call 718-703-3086. We'd love to hear from you, as well as put you on our email list if you're not there. And stay tuned for our next video. We hope to be doing another video on manufacturing zones. We covered that already, but we found out some more very interesting information about these manufacturing zones and what the city and the developers are planning to do with increasing heights that will mirror or even be taller than some of the tallest buildings in New York City. So look for that email. Very interesting piece of information. And I look forward to seeing you again. And thank you so much for showing up. And do share this video. Okay, bye.